What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We appreciate you being here. So we've got a special video today. This is kind of interesting. We're rocking the 2 cameras. We've got 4 people here, plus a special guest behind the scenes, making sure that we don't go too off the rails. Today's video should be interesting. So, second video for Ryan. You're the veteran now.
Hey, we're here.
We're here.
We're doing it.
Rylee, thanks for being here.
I still feel like a guest in my own show.
And we got Matt back.
Yep.
Matt, thanks for being here, brother.
Like a VIP guest almost.
Dude, this is like getting more regular, but it's good. And
yeah,
I think even if we can't get the in-person stuff going, people find a lot of value from the calls that we've been doing too, so I think it's really good. And it's really, if you think back just to like a couple of years ago when you just got started creating content, even when you create, we all do it. We create content to bring value to people. You do it with your pictures and the videos that you've made previously. You create content similar to me with the financial education in mind.
Similar, yeah. So
when you can actually sit down with people where the audience kind of asks for it and then give them exactly what they want, it's a pretty cool thing to do.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? So we pulled some questions from my Instagram, from Matt's Instagram, and I think we're just going to kind of run through and see if we can link a couple together.
Hopefully we can get them all, but if not, it's fine.
Yeah. The first one, I think it's a good place for us to start. Let's go around. I want everybody to give, I'll go last, so Matt, if you want to kick us off. Everybody give the best piece of financial advice that you've ever gotten.
Whoa.
It's heavy, dude.
That is.
Yeah. But think about it, because try to be concise with it too.
That's a tough one, actually. I'd say the best piece of financial advice that I've ever gotten was to have realistic expectations, because you'll get humbled really fast. I think going into it, I had overly high expectations, which led me to almost be unmotivated in a sense, because like you're like, well, I'm supposed to be doing this in my head, but I'm not, and it's a reality check. So I think going in with reasonable expectations will get you further than you think.
I like that. What do you got, Ryan?
Make more than you spend.
Make more than you spend.
I still coupon. Like, hell yeah, I can save $1, I'll do it.
That's a good one. It's good. That's like my dad's old advice. What do you got, Ryan? Anything good?
Yeah, mine is a little different because I talk to people about this daily.
Right.
And I think it's math is black and white, but we still make decisions about our money with our gut. So that you have to feel it. Like emotions still drive our behavior. So I think sometimes we get tied behind the numbers of like, oh, it's black or white, it's real simple, but it's not, right? You need to feel good about it, you need to know the decisions and understand why you're making decisions. So when it comes to planning or how you're going to move forward, not only does the math make sense, but it feels good too.
That's really
so I think just, it's not necessarily a device, but like for yourself, knowing that you have to connect the two.
No, I like that. And there's actually a question that we can go to.
Dude,
yeah,
that was kinetic. That like we thought
that was a good segue. But I'll give you mine real quick. It's just always know your risk. If you don't know your risk, you should not be investing. You shouldn't be trading. You shouldn't be getting into that business. Anything. You have to know the risk as well as you can. Like, of course, when you're talking about like partnerships or business opportunities, there's unforeseen risks. Things happen. You know what I'm saying? Like that picture of all the twisted teas spilled out on we saw this truck today on Twitter. It crashed in Pennsylvania with all these twisted teas. As soon as I saw all the twisted tea on the ground, my brain was like, hey, it's like a lost trade. Twisted tea's not going out of business.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So know your risk. They know that that's a risk in their business, but they keep moving. You know where risks. So
100%.
That's definitely the best advice that I've gotten so far.
Yeah.
So that question that we can kind of tie back to what you said was from, this was I think on your page, Matt. Do you know who that guy is?
No, I'm not sure.
Rodolfo P. Lock 10. I think that's how we'll say his name. He said how to know when your trading is emotional and how to avoid it. I'm going to let Rylee start us off because I think she'll have a good answer for this. How to know when your trading is emotional and how to avoid it.
Well, I feel like it depends on what emotion you're feeling, because I think different emotions can evoke different things. But ultimately, if you're trading and anywhere like in your trading, whether it's your entry, your exit, or in the middle of your trade where you're trying to take off a piece of your trade, whatever, if you're kind of confused about any of it and you're not looking at your system, which gives you clear yes or no, what are you supposed to do, I think that's when you can tell like you're getting a little emotional because you're veering away from your trading plan.
Okay. What do you think, Matt?
I think if you are in a position and then you have to think why you're in it, I think you're emotional to get into it.
Could be
I think you should be in a trade and it's black or white. There's no in between like, oh shit, maybe I don't know.
And I'll add, you should know your exit. Just like we were just talking about.
100%.
You should know your exit, right? Going back to you, do you have anything to add to that? I know you aren't an active trader, but
not in the active like trading perspective, but I think you have to think ahead of how you would feel if you lost that particular trade or that whatever you're doing, investing in or whatever, and how would you feel if you won it? And focus on those emotions, and then identify when one starts creeping up.
Right.
Right. Because like I don't know if you're in it, if you see things start going like no, like okay,
Right.
like you said, know your exit.
You can
right?
know and also know you're going off.
But
the
also
coast.
know what it feels like to win it, right?
Yeah.
Because I think you have to celebrate that too, and to know what that feel like. And even if it's a small win, it's still a win.
You
right?
should also even, I think to some extent, especially with the trading, you should almost feel like when it's a good trade, especially to what you said about a system, if it fits the system, you can almost see it as a winner, like you just said, like see it being a winning trade. You know what I mean? That could be something to kind of keep your emotions on check. But I know I'm getting emotional when literally I've used this Whoop thing to look at my heart rate as I'm like getting ready for a trade, and I can actually see the heart rate speed up. So I know that there's some things going on there. I also know like I get sweaty. We have like a joke with our group that like it's sweaty pits and like there's like ASFX joke. But it's funny because like I'm a sweaty guy. So like when I start trading, if I get really sweaty, I know that I'm probably thinking about it too much, almost like you said. It should be black and white.
You shouldn't have to. If you're thinking,
you almost shouldn't have to think about it. You should know the system well enough where you're not thinking about
it. I kind of just black out and like you remember last time we talked, my Forex account was not funded.
Right.
I funded it. My first trade being back.
I think we have like a.
I'm back.
You can't hear it, but it's clapping right now.
Yeah, I'm back.
You're back.
Yeah, I took my first trade. I think earlier this week on the S&P.
Nice. I did see that you posted on Instagram.
Yeah, it was a runner. It was a good one.
Did you find any emotions in that trade since it was like your first trade back in a while?
Yeah, I actually did because think about it. I'm buying an all-time high.
Right. So
how do I feel? Yeah, I had a complete setup for a buy.
Call you crazy.
Yeah, but I mean the technicals lined up, and I personally did not feel comfortable buying at that high, so I was a little bit emotional. But I was like, you know what, technicals are technicals. I have my risk calculated.
It played out well.
Yeah, perfect.
It played out really
well.
well.
So
no drawdown at all.
Your emotions almost played against you. Like your system was telling you, hey bro, like it's lining up.
And I
should
listened.
Be in this.
I listened.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes the system will go against like the narrative that the herd believes. Like it'll go against herd mentality. So you have to be steadfast in the system when it disagrees with everybody else. You know
and that's why you have a black and white system.
Right, for
sure. If this, then that.
So speaking of that, since we're at all-time highs, before we get into the metals, some people were asking thoughts on the dollar index, thoughts on Euro USD. Will there be another market crash? What's going on with that? Do you want to give us some input on what you think? Just because right now, I think since the last time we talked, the big changes that the stock market, SPY, did break for a new all-time high.
It did.
So now it's actually higher than it was, even when we were talking.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, if you had bought the dip, you'd be up in Tesla like 600% if you bought the coronavirus dip, 700% for some of these stocks.
Yeah.
People would call that euphoric. So they would
For
say
sure.
to us, breaking these highs, it's euphoric, which we know what comes after that stage in the market cycle, downhill from there. So what do you think?
Personally, I think my focus has gauged towards out of the stock market. I'm looking at the bond market right now. So I was listening to something this morning, and I feel like it's in a massive story. I think it's huge, and it's not being...
Well, share it with us.
The attention's not on there. So essentially what's going on, if nobody knows what bonds is, I'm just going to assume everybody does.
Bonds are basically an IOU that the government will issue to people like us, to other governments, to anybody really, right?
Yeah, and I'm going down...
It's debt.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going down the alley of other governments. So essentially, China had about roughly over $1 trillion treasury bonds, 10 years, and they just announced that they want to reduce their balance sheet down to $800 billion.
So what does that mean?
They're going to be selling U.S. treasuries back to the U.S. in substantial amounts. That would mean if the bond market goes down,
the dollar goes with it.
It's going to be detrimental, because that is basically, bonds are what? The faith in the U.S. So when nobody wants to hold treasuries anymore, they're no longer having faith in our U.S.
But why would we even buy it back from them then?
We don't. The Federal Reserve is the biggest buyer, and now they're going to be the only buyer, because who's going to want to buy
So the government isn't buying them back. The
Federal Reserve is not even
from China.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. And I feel like that's like one of the biggest stories over it. That could be a domino effect.
Why would the Fed want to lower the value of the dollar?
Maybe if they have a digital currency coming, collapse the dollar before that.
I think
what is it? Central bank, CBC, central bank cryptos, central bank currency.
Oh yeah, I made a post about that actually.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they intentionally want to lower it. I think that they've gotten handed a pot of just shit, and like they're just gonna put salt in there.
Really?
Literally, yeah. Like there's nothing they can really do.
Know the house is on fire and they're letting it burn down.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I think they do have a backup plan though to reform our monetary policies and move to other. Yeah, for sure.
Behind what? Gold?
I don't know.
That's the tough. Everybody comments on my thing. Like I said something on Twitter about that today. Like going forward, would we go back to a gold standard?
Yeah.
Like, we've talked about that where they put gold. Boom, let's just call it at 10,000 an ounce, and we go behind a standard, like something like that.
Yeah.
Or do they have something under their sleeve with like a crypto, like a digital currency?
I think it's definitely gonna be a digital currency. Whether it's backed by something, I don't know. But to get people's faith, I think they must say something that it's backed by, because that's the only way the herd will feed into it.
Here's an interesting question. Can a crypto be backed by gold?
Most certainly.
Definitely can?
Yeah. Most certainly.
That would be cool.
It definitely could.
Right?
Yeah, that would be very interesting.
That would be a pretty good definition of like a decentralized actual market, because
Yeah.
it's a limited supply of something, but it's still decentralized.
And considering it's on blockchain technology, you can't really manipulate it, so
Right.
it is what it is. You're not going to print up more paper.
You know, I tweeted, because I closed a piece of my Bitcoin position last week as it started to come down. And now we're sitting right at about 10,000 right now.
10,200,
Yeah, a little bit low now. It actually broke 10,000 again yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, and I was saying to people,
Thought I was on vacation.
I was saying to people that my thoughts have kind of shifted a little bit towards it. And I'm interested to know what you guys think, because you guys are more on not only investment side of it, or the trading side of it, you're on the everyday side of the crypto stuff. I see a future in digital currencies. Like we're talking about this central bank stuff, I definitely see that. But that doesn't mean it's going to be Bitcoin. That's all my thought is. Like I can't, there's so many coins, there's so many new things to come. How can we say that Bitcoin has to be it? You know, the only people that say that are people on Twitter. But then in everyday reality, we're at the food store, grocery store, no one's using Bitcoin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're still far from that. So that's why I'm
Very
not
far.
sold on Bitcoin. What do you guys think?
Well, I think we're far off from the crypto.
What's far off? 10 years?
I can't put a time on it, but the government, they're dragging their feet on a lot of things. Like government's not quick to adapt.
No, they react.
The market says, okay, this is what we're doing, and the government's then like however many years behind. So I like the fact of I'm not so worried as you guys are sitting here worried about the dollar crashing. No, because I on the other side of like the money world that I live in, no one's worried about it.
They actually just had another round of QEs coming out, by the way.
Right.
Just
more,
off
more
your-
money printing.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Like,
what do you mean on your side of things? Be clear on that. Like on the investment side of things, where you see people buying stocks, getting into the markets, putting money into this idea that it's going to keep going up over time, buy the dip, long-term investing is going to win.
For the market, that's kind of if you look over a history, we know that history repeats itself.
Right here.
History repeats itself.
Don't hold the quote.
Okay,
You'll get
sorry.
better sound quality. Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
No, you're good.
They got me on this thing, you know.
It sounds better now. You're good.
Looking at, if you just look over the back of the history of the market in general, and think about all the world events that's gone on during those times. Like, yes, this is weird because now we're living it, we're experiencing it for ourselves,
But it's not the end of the world, is what you're saying.
no, it's not going to be the end of the world because crazy things have happened prior to our
And
lifetimes.
you think the dollar survives?
I think the dollar survives. I don't think it's as big.
Very
of-
contra.
Yeah. Now, our country's still very new, and worlds are changing quickly. Look what just happened in the last however many months. But I think you're underestimating how strong of a world power the U.S. is within the global economy.
It's a fair point.
When you don't take that into consideration, like me being in the military and us just having that military strength over everyone, who's going to come in and say, no, we're not going to take your dollar? We'll kind of force their hand because we can.
Maybe.
So there's a lot of power more than just what's happening on the charts or monetary thing because look how big ass missiles. Right?
That's fair.
So
What do you think, Matt?
we can flex it.
I think that you going back to history, like you said, if you look through history, there's been not a single currency that has survived. Not one. All of them have crashed. I don't know why it's going to be different this time if we're repeating the same mistakes throughout history that we've done. So that's number one. I don't see a change. The behavior is the same. The printing's the same. Fiscal and monetary policies are the same.
Mm-hmm.
How is it going to survive? It can't.
Yes,
Yes,
you just
the
see it
US
losing value.
Yeah, it is.
Because there's so much of it.
It is. These Converse that I'm wearing, my dad bought them for $6.
Right.
I spent $70.
Right.
It's already failing in front of our face. But we're young enough to say, oh, I don't really see it. I don't know what's happening.
Inflation.
But yet we have homeless rates at all-time highs.
All-time
We've
highs.
never seen so many homeless people in our time
Unemployment's
life.
still at 10%.
It's and then we have these phony numbers coming back. So we had just massive job cuts, right, for COVID. Now the people that have been laid off have gotten their jobs back. Is this temporary? Is that a
Not
real
even all of
number?
them. It's weird. Some
Not
people
even
have
all.
gotten their jobs back, but some people, other jobs, are still laying off people.
Yeah.
Jobs have come back, but there's still every week now 1 million people new.
Exactly. So the numbers are skewed. They're false. They're falsified data.
But so just to stay on the dollar.
Yeah.
What do you, all of those components, like the low,
Well, he was saying how
the unemployment rate, how does that impact to you, the future
As a
value
trader?
of the dollar?
No,
No,
future.
just in general, what you're thinking. Because he's saying on his side, the
Uh-huh.
dollar isn't going to, we're at 93 right now on the dollar index.
Uh-huh.
maybe we get back up over 100. Some people think. Some people, like Peter Schiff says, we're taking out 80 and then going to 60. You know what I'm saying?
I'm more on that bias actually.
Well, we definitely know that.
And then he made a point of where we can almost force them, right?
Yeah.
But in all actuality, Russia and China have been doing business for years, bypassing the dollar just through trade. A lot of people are doing just trade.
Well, that's through their own currency, right? Like China does it.
Well, no, let's say your country, Austin, and you have a plethora of oil resources, and I have a plethora of copper. We just trade.
Got it.
We bypass the dollar, and that's happening right now.
Got it.
So the dollar's already being, under the nose.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's already happening.
I guess where maybe it's more extreme, and like I kind of sit in the middle of both of you. Is like I don't think we're gonna go to like a Zimbabwe. Maybe we are.
I don't know. I don't know.
That would be the extreme.
That'd be fucked up.
We're like paying for like stuff with wheelbarrows of money. You know what I mean?
That'd be terrible.
But I also don't know if we're gonna see the dollar as strong as it was, just because like to me, I like to look to history the same way. The same way we see like good trading systems built. We find them by looking backwards. Look throughout history. What currency has lasted forever?
Well, so to that point on, so those, but the time span that you're looking at is thousands of years of civilizations, right? So I think there's some naivete to say that you think that something like that would happen within the next 60.
No, for sure, but I'm thinking,
you know what I mean?
Like, let me just make my point too, and then I want to hear what you're going to say. I'm looking because like Ray Dalio, like he would study like the Roman civilization and how throughout the Roman history, even though they lasted thousands of years, the different rulers would try different forms of currency and how they would fail. And they would overprint or they would underprint and they could never get it right. They could never make it last. The dollar is the longest running fiat currency in history. And the only reason then you have to look at the fiat part of that is because that makes it more short term, since we've been printing money and not using money like this. Because back in that day, they were using that still. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and that's only the last, when did we,
1913.
When did we get off the gold standard? The 70s?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like, that's not that long ago. Like, that's the craziest thing. It's like, it's, I think, we have to say, not probabilistic, but realistic to think, listen, that was not long ago.
We've already lost 90% of our...
Right, we could easily, you know what, we need to make a left turn and go back. We need to actually go back to a metal standard, because this is getting out of control.
It is.
What if somebody said that? We'd be like, okay, that was only the 70s, we made a mistake. You know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal.
And also, I feel like it's a little naive to think it couldn't happen in your lifetime, because it's like something like that does kind of just happen, like over a short...
For sure.
To the masses. But to us, it doesn't. This is coming. This has been a coming.
Yeah.
And it's
already
been kind of coming, right?
Yeah, but what were you going to say back then?
Well, I would like playing on the other side of the fence, because I think it's a better, well-rounded perspective on this. Like, I think there's a lot of bias of like, if you only listen to the same people saying the same thing, of course you're going to go down the rabbit hole. You have to look on the other side of what bigger institutions are doing than Peter Schiff or whatever, right? Like, what are these that are controlling billions of dollars? You know, 200 these companies, insurance companies that have 250 billion. You don't think they're not looking ahead to what's happening to the dollar and where they're putting their money? So even if no one's holding cash per se, right? Like for sure, but so even if the
some
standard
people don't believe in deflation are.
Which one? My point to there is that even if the standard changes, like still commodities, if this isn't dollars anymore that we care about,
right?
Whatever it is, you can still change your house in for however many Bitcoin. You're right. The business it won't be worth dollars anymore. It'll be worth however many wheelbarrows of apples.
I understand.
Right?
Well, the largest person on your side of the fence, the most successful. The most successful investor, Warren Buffett. We all know, right?
Yeah.
So if you take the stock market, you could break it into different sectors. You have financials, which is banks. You have energies and so forth, right? He just sold billions of dollars in financials, which is, if you're investing in financials, you're basically saying, I have faith in the dollar. He sold all his financials and moved to gold. So to your note of saying the other side of the fence has billions of dollars going into financials, I think that's false, because their biggest leader has already sold.
So I don't mean into financials in terms of like the banks and things like that. That's different. Like, just because you're putting money in the stock market doesn't mean you can be in a different sector, just like you said, like technology or something else. So it doesn't, just because there's companies out there that are trading US $250 billion in their general accounts or whatever, they don't necessarily need to be buying the bank stuff. They are diversified around, which then holds the strength of the United States, essentially, because we're diversified more than just...
I think you both could be correct in your points. You can be correct and you can be correct.
Because I don't think there is a right or wrong answer.
I think the bigger point is that the banks are not a direct representation of the financial health of our economy.
Right.
And I think asset prices right now, too, kind of back to what we were talking about, the euphoric stage, you know? So this is a good question that I kind of have for both of you, because of the sides that you both come from. Like when
It's pretty cool. I like this.
yeah, me too. When you sit down with people like Matt that are a little bit concerned about the future value of their dollars, what's the most calming or most foundationally like solid advice you can give them to make them feel like you should be still believing in the dollar? Do you ever try to convince them, and how do you do that?
Well, it's rare that you have people with these extreme other sides of the view. But no, I think it just comes down to their goals and what they really think they're going to do otherwise then. Like it really, that's all it comes down to. What are your goals and where you want to be? And how do you get there? And what let's say that what you think doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. Then what?
Yeah, exactly. I think people would look at that argument of like the other side of that point of let me just stick my head in the sand and like not worry about this. I'm just going to keep doing what everybody else has been doing over time. And then the other side of that is, well, you don't want to be doing that if something is throwing flags in front of you. You know what I mean?
Well,
if you're hitting speed bumps, you should slow down.
Yeah, and I don't think just because you're avoiding, like, it just comes to what's your risk, right? How risk averse are you from that topic?
Right.
Because then don't put all your eggs in that basket, right? Or break it up, whatever.
Do you ever see advisors or anything like that getting into the idea of telling people, do you think, to buy crypto and to diversify into stuff like that, just because we're going into that digital future? Do you think that'll ever be on the plan?
That goes down to people's goals. If they want to be in it, they want to be in it. Then
Right.
it comes down to how much, right? Do we, like I talked to you about this, do we have it segmented as home run dollars?
Right.
Or where's our safe dollars? If we look over history of just the United States, where can people put money that's safe, right? So that way you build a good foundation and you can go be risk adverse in these other categories and know that the foundation is built on what's at the current state. Then if these things changing, you can flip. So I think that's the better approach to it.
I like
right?
that.
Yeah.
And that actually, dude, you're killing the segues. We have another question. This one's from Sock K Par. He said, just a few tips, if you could, on building a foundation for wealth at a young age. You want to kick us off there? Maybe something like if you could go back to young Ryan 6, 7, 8 years ago. How old were you then? 19, 20 years old?
Well, accumulating wealth has to be, well, one, I think it starts from generations down, right? Like those who came from money have a better success of rolling. So like if from building wealth in terms of family, if you can think bigger picture, I think that helps because then you start thinking about how do I leave more behind in terms of legacy because that will help build the wealth for the family.
Yeah.
But I think it comes down to goals and learning to save for yourself first. Big time. And knowing that you're not going to get any type of massive wealth just working for the man.
I like that.
You have to own something.
Do you have any tips on that? Just on like anything you would go back to, like your younger self, or what you would say has led you, like what would you really focus on for a foundational piece in your understanding of things in finance?
What would I focus on for a foundational piece of understanding?
Like if you now knowing what you know now, what would you go back to 4 or 5 years ago and really be like, yo, I need to study this because this is where the future is, this is where there's going to be information that's going to help me be more free, be more independent?
Well, I feel like I've always looked at it as never to settle for a job that you feel is less than what you're worth. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like so many people settle or they just go like, at just so many underpaid jobs, and I was never that type of person. Like, I think maybe my first job was like this is what you make per hour, but other than that, like I was always just trying to be my own boss in a way. Like I was a waitress.
So your advice is don't get a salary.
Right, yeah, like don't get a salary. Like continue to push yourself. I would sell my clothes on Poshmark. Like I would find other ways to make money to support like what it is I wanted to do at that period of my life. So I feel like you have to constantly be pushing yourself and striving for more and like just don't stagnate. Yeah. Because stagnated water smells like shit. So like
What do you got, Matt? On building
that was very well answered, by the way.
Thank you.
Foundational tips for people at a young age.
I think one of the biggest things is that they're very scared and very frugal with their money when it comes to in terms of investing something that they don't see right away. Like a material item, you put your money out and you get it right away.
I totally agree.
But like when it comes to financial literacy or just investing in yourself, you're very frugal and you don't want to spend. You'd rather beat around the bush, try and ask people, rather than get involved and just actually spend the money and take the time out to become a better person. And that will build your foundation from there.
Invest in yourself.
Literally.
That's a good way.
Literally, but everyone's frugal for that.
Well, why do you think that is? Like, I mean, it is definitely because we want the instant gratification. When you pay for something or you sign up for something or you decide you want to become a trader, you want that money. Like, you get into it, I want the money.
Literally.
You want me to watch a course? You want me to take notes? You want me to do that? Not a lot of people think that way.
And that's the thing. It's
But
not
it's
even
crazy.
we want them to.
No.
It's for you.
It's for you.
Literally.
But the people that do that and come into it, they're my favorite people. The people that come into something, it doesn't have to be trading, it could be any new skill.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I don't care if I make money right now, basically. Let me just learn this and then I'm going to kill it on my own. I don't need you.
Yeah.
I've had conversations with people lately. Some of them I'm like, I know, like, just from talking to them, I can tell they're going to do their own testing. They're going to do all their own work on this. So I'm like, you're going to be great. Like, I already know.
Yeah, you can tell who it is.
Tell those
you
people.
really can.
Yeah, absolutely. Because,
100%.
You know what I mean?
Real quick, back to the point of like of what Rylee said about getting better. I think it's important, but I think it goes back to the person and what they want. Because some people are happy making whatever
100%.
they want to make, being the baker,
Yeah.
right? And because they get to do what they love every day.
That's funny. I just talked about that literally yesterday.
Yeah, so it's important there. But then even for you in the trading world, no one has to get into trading thinking that you have to make X amount of dollars, right? Like you can still make a substantial whatever that's good for you, but as long as you're doing it and you enjoy it. So I think that's important. Because some people think, well, I don't care, I don't need to make 100. I've literally talked to people like they're happy making 70,000.
Sure.
They love what they do. They don't need to make any more. But if you're making 70 and you hate what you do, but you can make 70, 65 doing this or whatever.
The Gary Vee approach.
Yeah, for sure. But like just being happy, because I think there's a difference in waking up Monday morning and being pumped to go do something, no matter how much you're getting paid.
Well, the lifestyle is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because then what? You're going to waste your life doing something you don't like, right? Let's talk really quick. 2 more questions. Real estate. We all have someone that we know right now that wants to get into real estate. We could probably name 6 people, maybe 7 and a half. But we know a lot of people that are like, yo, I'm going to go house hack. Yo, I'm going to live in a duplex and rent it out, and I'm going to move out and have somebody else move in there. Or, yo, I'm just saving up. I'm going to wait till this market dips. Where do you guys think we're at? Just with what's like with Corona, with knowing how many people are moving out of the cities and into the suburbs.
That's exactly right.
What are we seeing? Is that a housing bubble, or is the market healthy? What do you guys think? What do you think, Matt?
I think the market's not healthy at all.
Why?
I think it's highly inflated.
Overvalued?
Very.
Like the homes are overvalued? Like when you see like a small little like 2-bedroom house in San Francisco for like, you know,
yeah,
$5,000.
That's the thing. You can find value though. You still can.
Of course, it depends.
Just
where,
like
I guess
stocks,
it's all
like,
based on location.
You can still find value
Yeah.
in those.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think? Just based on, because like I'm interested to see all the people you're hearing from. You know someone that just bought a house.
I do.
We both have parents that just sold their
Oh yeah,
houses.
we do.
Yeah.
I guess I do. I think that the housing prices are definitely going to go down during all of this.
What makes you say that?
Initially, it's just a gut feeling, so that's where I'm going to go with it. But to put more thought into it, if you think about what coronavirus has done, and if it's true that millions of people every week are filing for unemployment, that means like they're not able to pay their bills. And if people aren't able to pay their bills, like people are going to be getting kicked out of their houses. It's only for so long that the government can be like, oh yeah, like don't pay your mortgage this month. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Until it's not fine. And then what are the prices of the housing market? Like, I just feel like it's all going to not crash, but just go down.
But
you know?
before we move forward, she just sparked a few light bulbs in my head.
Yeah, go.
So for the one of the care package, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the coronavirus, like aid, printing all the money, giving it out. One thing in there was tenants are allowed to be late on their rent. So not only is the government getting involved in real estate, they're incentivizing malpractices with, trust between a landlord and a tenant.
Yeah,
exactly.
When that's supposed to be like one of the oldest
and now
professions in this country.
Now the landlord has all this pressure that he has to come up with
to pay the bank.
Exactly. And you brought up the term mortgage. I just want to break it down real quick. Mort is death and gage is contract. So it's a death contract. So that's where the word originates from.
How this to me makes sense is like the banks won't get paid their mortgages from a lot of people. We know that there's more defaults on mortgages over the last few months than ever before.
Yeah.
The banks don't get their mortgages. How long can they last on margin, I guess it would be, of not getting paid their mortgages before the banks then flip, and maybe that's what Warren Buffett sees, and that's why he's dumped a lot of bank stocks.
Or they'll just start selling the houses for even cheaper because they'll take anything they can get.
Yeah. JP Morgan says we're not even into the recession yet. Like the bank itself has basically put out the statement.
Jerome Powell said that we were in one.
It's interesting. Disagreement is all over the place. Some people V-shape, K-shape, all these different letter shape recoveries.
XYZ.
Everybody has a different perspective. Right?
Literally.
What do you think about the houses? You actually owned a house.
I did.
You just owned You just bought a house, right? Or you
Renting. Yeah.
So you're the only homeowner here.
Was. Yeah, and I sold it in a year, made money. So
Nice.
I mean,
In Florida.
Florida.
Florida. America.
Florida. Yeah.
Here in Florida, where? The north?
Yeah.
Okay. We go
In the Panhandle.
Nevada, Florida, near Pensacola. The people are definitely moving out of the cities and the suburb homes just from a small sample size. I mean, the market is hot in the burbs for sure.
The market is hot.
The market is hot in the burbs. So how long does that last? I don't know. I think getting into real estate for the investment's sake, I don't know. I've never really liked the flip model. But for those, I have a friend in Alaska who did an amazing thing, who did the duplex thing. Lived in half, used the VA.
Did he make money?
Oh yeah, dude, he owns 5 properties now. He lives in Florida. He has a mansion.
Crushing it.
And it's all because of one. I mean, I helped him I guided him to that. Being a landlord, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I never even did it, but I just pointed him like, hey, I think this would be something good.
So what do you think is going to happen going forward? Is it a good time to get into this?
That's what I was getting at. I think if you're getting in it for the long run, you're fine.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
But if you're going to get into it for...
Do you think it's better to be in residential over commercial?
Always.
Commercial real estate is probably gone.
I wouldn't do that.
Commercial's a no-go.
I wouldn't.
Just
depending on what it is.
no.
Depending on what it is. Unless you can get a warehouse, unless you got the bucks of
But even at that point,
Yeah.
like the only thing that, think about it, Amazon or some other website is going to probably put your commercial real estate, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, no, they're going to buy it from you. If you can get the land, there's a bunch of stuff going on like that.
Yeah, they'll buy it from you. But if you're not the owner of the land, right, then, but you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these businesses, I feel like it has to be residential. You got to go residential. You got to go.
Well, it's better for the long term. People always need a place to live. Businesses change.
If you have 20 grand, 30, 40 grand right now, are we supposed to sit on it and wait before we get into the market to buy something? Or do we just get in now because you don't want to miss another day, you could die tomorrow kind of thing?
Depends how old you are.
Okay, what do you mean?
If you're young enough to be in long enough, then I wouldn't be so worried.
I guess what we're
Unless you have intensive set selling your house right away.
I think there's a difference between if you're buying a house to live in, it doesn't matter what it is. Right? If you're buying a house because you want to live somewhere, then buy the house because you want to live there.
Right.
Right? Like, yeah, if you overpay, you overpay. I don't think that, don't look at ever getting any of that money back. If you just change your perspective to that, then you're fine.
Look at it like a lost trade.
Yeah, no, it's an expense. You're not making.
Well, you're living there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, my parents lost a lot of money on their house, you know? They put money in, but then my dad says the same thing. We lived there.
You live there.
We lived there.
You get no money back when you rent. So
no money back. Right.
Yeah, and you have zero chance of getting money back.
I think where it really comes down to on both ends of it.
You're not in debt too.
Right. Whether you're in real estate on the renter side, like us three, or now you as well, or if you're on the owner side, it's cash flow, right? Because if you have cash flow as a renter, you're going to be good. You can rent whatever, like we do, nice amenities, fix your stuff, whatever I need, right? I put the work order in, you can rent. Cash flow is good. If you got cash flow and you're a homeowner, you can fix your repairs, you can keep yourself going. If you're somebody that's house hacking and you have cash flow, you can pay the other side of the house potentially to keep the thing going. So cash flow still is really the key. And at the end of the day, if I have the cash flow now, since that's in both equations, if we just take it out because it's the same in both equations, I'm going to choose the renter because I don't have to take care of any maintenance and I hate maintenance. So I don't really see myself getting in the market anytime soon. That's just me. I think if I buy something, it would be like you said, to live there. I would buy it to live there, and then I would either try to sell it or go into a different, like rented out Airbnb or something
single
like
family
that.
home, but the property managers, and you don't got to worry about it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that card is full. So let's wrap it up. All right. I think we got a pretty good hour. What do we get? 35 minutes. It's pretty good. We have that call in 15 minutes. That sucks that card's full, but I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's. Ryan, you want to pull that camera over and just straighten us out?
Sure.
Give us a straight angle real quick. Because I have one more that I think we should touch on. Thanks, Ryan. That's how we do it, people.
Ryan's
Beautiful. Hey, if you're watching this far or listening this far, we appreciate you.
Oh, no,
We got no production crew. Hey, listen, as long as it's straight and they can kind of see us, most of them are just listening to take the value. And we got a lot of listeners on Spotify and iTunes and stuff like that. So let's just talk about the metals. Let's talk about this because a lot of people hit us up about this. This is probably like one of our top 2 topics that people question us about because they see us, they start thinking about it a little bit more, then they want to know more.
Yeah.
Right now, the question is, when we buy it, do we buy it not knowing where we can sell it back? That was one of the questions that was sent in. What do you think?
I think before you buy anything, you should know what you want to do with it and how you're going to
Gotta have an exit.
Yeah. You said that earlier.
Yep, gotta have an exit.
I mean, an easy answer would be wherever you bought it from, 9 times out of 10, they'll buy it back.
100%. That's what I always thought.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking about now, just to put this out there for everybody too, is, you know, this stuff is fun to touch and it's fun to cool and, you know, talk about and hold and show in the video and stuff. But in reality, if you're really trying to buy substantial amounts of this, you really shouldn't be holding it in your own house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I've been looking into now is the next time that I buy it, it's going to have to be either 100 ounces of silver at minimum, or 10 ounces of gold at minimum, or 20 ounces of gold. So, I'm sorry, 10 ounces, 20 grand. So they want to, you know, you got to put a decent investment into it, but if you do that, you can store it in a vault.
So that's their minimum.
That's the minimums.
Okay.
That's what I'm finding, about 100 ounces of silver or 10 ounces of gold.
Nice.
Yeah, not that much.
Wow, I learned.
Yeah.
I like that.
So there you go, everybody. So check it out. I know Jane.
I learned.
Listen, Jane, but think about it. This thing right here, this is 10 ounces. That's it. So this is, right now, we're at about $25 an ounce, right? Something like that for silver.
And then they're getting waxed over the spot price. But,
Yeah.
you know,
So, but let's just call it $300.
let's say that.
Okay. If you want to invest, like, let's just say 20 grand into metals, I mean, this is heavy.
It's ridiculous.
It's gonna be like, you're literally gonna have to, you need safes. So I think the idea for me, and I want to hear what you guys think, these really are cool, they're fun to touch and stuff, but it's really got to go to a vault, and it's really got to be long term. Because if I'm buying that much of it, and I'm putting it in a vault, probably in a country like either Singapore, Switzerland, New York, maybe London, somewhere like that, I can't even go see it.
Yeah.
I can't even get there.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Right now, especially with COVID. So like, what, at that point, it's such a long-term investment. What do you guys see in this? Do you see any value in that?
Yeah, for long term, I think if that's part of your strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean, you gotta think about what, are you buying it just to preserve the dollar, right? Because you think it's gonna move faster. You're preserving for legacy to pass on.
Sure.
Because that, like, or, you know, because it's definitely not a 5-year flip.
No, definitely
right?
not.
You know?
What do you think, Ryan?
Could have been actually.
Well, yeah,
About
recently,
5 years ago, you'd
yeah.
be really happy.
You'd be,
So.
yeah, silver.
But you can't go into those expectations are set going in.
Yeah. What do you think, Ryan?
For silver specifically, I think that we'll always have some of it that we hold on to, because I picture myself being like a great-great-grandma, like 150 years old, giving it to my great-grandchildren, like, this is your last name.
What do you think, Matt?
Well, what was the question?
No, I'm saying
My answer wasn't that serious, that's what threw you off.
for long-term value. I know you're a believer in
Oh,
this.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
asking them to see what their thoughts were on the long-term value.
My long-term value, the reason why I hold
Do you think it's
long-
worth investing it into, put this stuff in a
1
vault?
billion percent. It remains
1
your
billion
purchasing-
%.
it holds your purchasing power. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. Like, it has the biggest track record. Like, I don't even. The facts are there.
It's all there.
Yeah.
That's why I'm feeling like
A
everybody
serious
needs some of this.
answer, like, silver is being used so much more nowadays for technology and the
100%.
world that the world that we live in and the direction that it's going with technology. Like, silver just makes sense to invest in because it's used in so much. Unless they can mine it on asteroids and the moon, in which
Right.
case I think then it could decrease value. Or we can play the flip side and say it might increase the value because it'd be more expensive to go get it and it
well,
might be
let's
more
If we
rare.
entertain that, right? We didn't talk about this that much last time. The idea, like, if you Elon getting to getting to Mars, getting to
Asteroids,
asteroids,
yeah.
and getting gold and silver off the asteroids.
And just flood the supply.
Okay, it's heavy, bro. Like this.
How you
but
bringing
do
it
you know
back?
What I'm right? How are they going to?
Well, I'm pretty sure if they're able to get there, they're smart enough to make it feasible to.
But think about it. Think about it. It's gonna crash, bro. If the rocket, like, I'm an idiot, bro. I am an idiot. Like, I'm an idiot.
That's why you're smart.
If the rocket comes up with this much weight, but then it comes back with all this weight,
Wait, I'm sorry.
you get what I'm saying?
It's gonna need rockets on its
Right,
counter.
it's gonna need
No,
to somehow
they're-
catch this thing.
they're
It's
gonna-
like we need a net.
They're gonna shoot the asteroid out of the sky and make it crash into Earth somewhere and then just mine it from Earth. I think we can end here.
Just bring the asteroid down and then mine it, not
Right.
mine it up there. That's a lot smarter.
Laser it out of the sky.
Or we could just
shoot
start-
a nuke at it.
Before we go out there, the easier approach was just start pulling everyone's teeth out that have silver in there.
My grandma.
There you go.
Yeah.
All the old
They
people.
used- yeah, they all. It's crazy. So
what if we actually went to all the grave sites and
People
Like-
definitely do that.
yeah,
really?
Yes.
people definitely
Holy
do that.
That's
crap!
real.
I never thought of that.
That's real.
Grave robbers.
That's real.
We need. This is why we
There's
need.
probably a whole
Because think
YouTube
about what
series
people
about
put in
it.
their coffin. Yeah, we don't even need to go down the hole, but that's real.
I actually
They
know a
do?
lot about
Oh my God.
They load their
embodying
coffins up
bodies.
with like with their watches and
Oh my God! I know where I'm getting my next Rolex.
That's crazy.
Yo, that is crazy. When you think about it, people be doing that for real.
What do you think the body looks like?
That's real.
Bones?
When I die, I put my money in the grave. He's lying. He's not putting any money in the grave. There's no money in there because there's people like Ryan's friends that rob graves.
But you're his friend.
No, I'm.
On a more serious note, I think if that was the case, like astro mining,
Yeah.
I think the production costs and like the mining costs would be so high that
That's what
the
I'm saying.
valuation of silver would have to be
So
astronomically
high to make it worth it. Exactly.
Yeah.
We would
That's
have to
what
be
I'm
like
saying.
quadzillion billionaires. Like, can't even put a word on it.
But what if it's because they need it for all the technology that they're created? They need these mass supplies of silver. Like they're
Yeah.
willing to go those lengths.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It would have to adjust.
Well,
Yeah.
think about
We'd
it.
literally be
Before we-
rich.
before we go-
Demand, the price will go higher.
Yeah.
The
Right.
supply is so low.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, like, what's the highest silver has ever been? Like
50, yeah.
50 something.
Roughly.
Okay, so like think of like this is why you have to
So undervalued.
you have to like it's weird. It's hard to understand for me at least because again like I'm an idiot. We're talking about gold per ounce is $2,000 just about right now, a little under that. Okay, we're talking about silver. Here's an ounce of silver. This ounce of silver is only $30 right now.
Yeah.
What if it one day is worth $2,000? Because over time, what's the only thing that's still money? This. So it doesn't seem that far off, is it?
No.
It being tied to the dollar by default inherently is just going to go up. The
It
dollar's
being
not going to
tied
just
to the
out of
dollar.
nowhere get strong.
Say that again. Explain
It being
that.
priced in dollars
Yes.
is the only reason why it's going to be valued so high. Because it's tied to a dollar that's going down.
Got it.
It's gonna
And
take
this is
more
what I was
dollars
saying
to
to you about the
By
value, the price
default.
of gold. Gold
Yeah.
itself on your necklace, like my rose gold, doesn't have to get more valuable. The dollar
It's the dollar that's going
to buy
down.
this,
Yeah.
right,
And the
yes.
only reason why the dollar has survived so long, it just came in my head.
Yeah.
It's because we can export our inflation
by
by
selling.
dropping off
Isn't it by selling
plethoras
debt?
of
by selling the
debt
bonds.
and making everyone hold X amount
Right.
of US dollars in reserves.
Right.
Hold X amount of bonds and reserves.
Japan and China are the biggest U.S. debt holders. Those
And
two.
China just said that they want to reduce their balance sheet on the
Right,
bond
that's what
side
you're
of
saying.
things, which will be detrimental to the dollar.
How long do you think the dollar has where it's at? Like how long until?
Well, if they start doing
could
that,
it go to zero? Would it actually touch zero, or would it just be like what's the Zimbabwe
that'd be
dollar?
like a
worth?
utopia world.
What's the Zimbabwe dollar worth right now? You know what I'm saying? So like, what does the currency?
Satoshis? Like,
What does the
literally.
currency go to?
I don't think you can make that comparison.
No.
Yeah, that's deep.
No.
That's
Definitely
far.
The strength of us, that's
Well, what if
That's
even if
yeah.
even if the dollar index, like that's the dollar against like a basket of 7 currencies, even if that goes to 60, 70, it's never been that low in our lifetime. I think the lowest it's been on the chart that I saw was like 77. I could be so wrong, but I think it's like 70.
I
And it
can
was in the 80s, I think.
I
You know what I'm saying?
could really think that we take out a new low
You think so?
within the next 3 to 5 years.
Well, that's going to
For
shoot
sure.
Euro USD higher. All we should be doing then is buying Euro pairs on almost a daily basis, looking for long opportunities on all the Euro pairs, right?
Well,
That's what I'm gonna do.
If Europe's currency is able
And
to,
well, whenever the dollar, there's a direct correlation. It's an inverse correlation between the dollar index and Euro USD.
yeah, of course,
Right. So if,
Yeah.
if the dollar index, if we know it's going lower, Euro USD, I'm going to be looking for long
The,
opportunities.
the index is actually made up with euro dollars.
Right. Right.
Oh.
Right.
But yeah, they are completely
So you think we're taking out a new low?
1,000,000,000%.
What would that do? But I mean, imagine that for the
so confident.
so
So
confident.
confident.
But imagine what that would look like for the economy. Like think about where people would be in that position with right. Or am I
It just
wrong?
doesn't make
Would we
sense
not
to
be
me.
in a bad
How-
spot?
To me, I don't see how we could stop printing and raise rates. If we raise rates, the stock market is going to hell.
Right.
People are losing everything they have. We physically cannot raise rates. They said on their speech, they said, I'm not even thinking about
raising rates.
Exactly.
Yeah, I saw that.
So if they can't do that, the dollar will never get stronger. Never, by default. It's the rules of the game.
In your course, do you tell people how to diversify and like?
Yeah,
start
100%. That's like my biggest.
And your course was just revamped, right?
Well, I'm working on the content now.
Got it,
It's
got
a
it.
lot. It's a
How
lot.
long do you think that's going to take?
Maybe a month or two.
Cool. So soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll link that down below.
Yeah.
We'll put that in the description
For sure.
so people can get people to that. I think it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, most definitely.
Did you get to check out my course yet since I added you? No.
No, did you, I don't think you sent me all the stuff. You did?
Don't let me see it. I told you I was gonna add you. You know I added you.
Oh man, all right. I'll send you all the stuff too.
You gotta
Yeah.
watch it. I want your feedback on it.
No, definitely. I'll send you mine too. I want to hear yours.
All right.
I want you to look at it before the new content.
That makes sense. And then I want to see it after.
And
too.
and then see after.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I
awesome.
want to see.
All right, cool. Well, listen, this was good, guys. I appreciate it. I'm glad that we got it done. Thank you for watching, everybody. Thanks for sticking through with us, even though we had to bail on the other camera.
Yeah,
Code
it's all
word, blueberries.
Riley's code word for the video. If you're watching all
good.
the way
Whoa,
through.
we actually want to get blueberry wine.
That's
That's
good. We've
really
had that.
good.
Really?
Good.
Have you?
I used to work in a winery.
Whole new podcast, blueberry wine.
All right, everybody. Thank you. We'll see you in the next one.
Take care, guys.